And at a time it was like, $500 or something. But now it's like, this is already like $3,000 or something.
This stack right here, we're talking like minimum 20 grand, maybe even 30.
So the one thing you might not know from this card is that it's actually only a pop 2 in Gem Mint.
Like even if you compare this to Stardust, these look significantly better. I've seen a lot in my collecting time, and this is something I've never seen. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I think that this is probably, and I think most people here would agree, that this is the most impressive collection out of anything that I have seen. It's probably more impressive than even my own. Like the stuff that he has here is not just quantity like what I have, he is quality, okay? We're firing on all cylinders, so I'm super excited to show you. This is the collection of the very own Jumhai on Instagram, aka Jummy. This is his Instagram. You guys can check him out there and drop him a follow. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so Jummy, tell us more about yourself, how you started collecting, what do you collect, and how do you plan on moving forward?
Yeah, before that, I just wanted to thank you for having me on the channel. I think you're probably the first and maybe still the only like YuGiOh YouTuber I still really follow. I think a lot of people like to follow a lot of the modern things, and I'm just not really about that. I know you appreciate some of them, but I think a lot of the lore and the history that you educate people on for the old YuGiOh cards, I think is really, really special. So I really appreciate that. And yeah, I've been a Patreon follower for a really long time. I feel like I found about your Patreon before YouTube. I'm not sure, but I just remember when your first YouTube videos went up. So big time follower here.
Appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
For myself, yeah, I played YuGiOh for a really long time, like since I was a very little kid. So yeah, I stopped competitive playing, I guess, when I entered university. But when I graduated university around 2018 was when I first started making my own money for the first time. And I think that's when a lot of people started doing the same thing I did, which is, oh, I have my own money. I don't have parents. Started to collect. And I feel very fortunate for, I guess, maybe even the timing of when I graduated, because it was right around, end of 2018, beginning of 2019 when I started to collect. And as we all know, that was about a year before the beginning of the end. And when things, start up in price. So I felt very lucky that I got to hoard a lot of really cool things in that time. And that really helped me establish my collection. And yeah, ever since then, I've been doing a lot of YuGiOh. You'll see that I have some Pokemon, but there's only a very specific subset of Pokemon that I'm passionate about, and everything else is all YuGiOh. I think we talked earlier about like how scarce a lot of the cards are in YuGiOh in comparison to Pokemon, and I think that's really what drives me to collect in this hobby is scarcity. A lot of the artworks are great, and I think we looked at Ting's binder earlier, and I really respect him a lot as a collector because he is not just driven by value, he's driven by nostalgia and what looks good to him, and I'm definitely like that too. I also noticed myself over-indexing on scarcity, so I'm really excited to show you my collection.
Amazing. Can we dive in?
Yes, please.
Let's go in. We're starting with some Pokemon raw cards, all right? You said that you were planning to grade, right? I'm guessing?
Yes, so actually this is part of me reallocating maybe some of my funds from Pokemon to YuGiOh. Before, I basically had every Gold Star and Shining and Crystal Pokemon card. Those are the series I really like. So this is a lot of my work in 2019, basically. They're all in varying conditions. Some of them are near mint. Some of them are HP. Actually, if we look at some of the graded stuff later, you'll see some of the very, very poorly conditioned cards. But I think what I'm going to do is probably grade a lot of these, probably sell a lot of it. And I think in parallel to me building up my YuGiOh collection, I think I'll slowly pick up 10s of these and just build towards that, because I realize that a lot of these cards are pretty abundant out there, despite how sought after they are. So it would mean a lot more for me to just have one of them in a really good condition.
PSA 10. We're starting with some heat here. So those were the crystals as well as the shinings, but these I would say is where Pokemon rarity peaks in terms of like vintage. These are extremely rare cards, and I believe the stats for these, like some people say it's 1 per case. I actually think it's like 1 per 2 boxes.
Yes.
So you get the complete Gold Star set in a case. This is like from the most expensive box, EX Deoxys, right? And it's this, and then the most expensive Gold Star, which is Rayquaza. The fact that these are all drawn by the same artist, they all have that same, like, they protrude from the borders. I think that this is probably one of the best subsets you can probably collect in Pokemon. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I think something you'll notice with both my Pokemon and YuGiOh is that I really like collecting set cards. This might be more of a driven by nostalgia part, but growing up, like, you didn't really have the opportunity to get like Worlds promos. Like, I wasn't that good at the game, right? So it doesn't feel as nostalgic to me, but we all opened packs, we all saw these cards and saw them in the magazine for the Beckett prices or whatever. So I'm really driven by set cards. For Pokemon, yeah, these 3 series are like the most prestigious in my mind in terms of set cards. So that's why I decided I wanted to collect them.
If I was to collect Pokemon, it would definitely be Gold Stars. This is one of my favorite. This is my top 5 Pokemon cards. I love this Gold Star
pick.
Pikachu.
It's interesting
so
because
nostalgic.
it's one of the least impressive in my mind from a coloring perspective because the Shining version isn't that different from its regular version, but I think the pose is what actually makes it really cool.
And it looks exactly like the anime.
Yes.
It reminds me exactly of the anime. I love Gold Star Pikachu. I think this one, the Torchic, I think the coloring of Torchic is so clever, the flipping the colors. I wish this one had a proper hollow foil pattern. The fact that they use like basically what Yu-Gi-Oh calls super rare is so disappointing. I think that the art on this is so amazing, but the hollow foil is the only bummer.
Just this much because, you know, like as you critiqued it, it's like it could be better, but it's still such an expensive card.
Exactly, absolutely.
So imagine if they hollowed it better or did something.
I think it would have competed with the Rayquaza for sure.
Oh, for sure, yeah. If you zoom in for the audience, you can see how poor the condition is.
Yeah. There's like
this was back in my dumpster diving days of 2019 where, you know, it was pre-COVID. We could go through Facebook Marketplace, see what people had. And someone just had a huge box of Pokemon cards and that was inside there. I think I bought it for like $80.
Wow.
And now, you know, if I'm lucky enough to get a PSA 1 on this, like that's already like $500 or something. So that's more for the Yu-Gi-Oh bank.
Yeah, that's his Gold Star collection. That's his crystals as well as the Shinings. We have some more Pokemon, but these are slabbed up. We have a PSA 1 first edition base set Charizard. And this one definitely deserves the 1. Holy smokes, this is beat.
Yeah.
Did you grade this yourself?
Yeah, I graded it myself. I picked it up actually at one of maybe a Pokemon regional or something. And at a time it was like, you know, $500 or something. It felt like a lot of money, but now it's like, this is already like $3,000 or something. So I made out pretty well for myself. Just like, you know, one of the most iconic cards. And this might be a card where I'm not sure I would sell it.
Base set Charizard, near mint 7. I mean, this looks really nice, actually.
I'm surprised it actually didn't get at least an 8. Like,
yeah, I think this is an 8 quality. Yeah,
it's debatable.
Rayquaza, this is the big boss of Gold Stars.
Pretty high value even as a 6. So you can really tell how it has a really big fan following.
And it shows you how rare it is, like compared to other cards. When a 6 is that much, yeah.
Because basically the EX series was already short printed because of how low demand Pokemon was at the time.
Exactly.
And then on top of that, it was one of the most short printed EX boxes. So you have scarcity within scarcity.
Correct. So. It's the second box, I believe, right? The first one is EX Team Rocket, and then it's this one.
I believe so.
Look at this Gyarados, bro. Gorgeous. This is actually one of the rarer ones of Holland Phantom. So like Pikachu and Mewtwo, they don't go for as much as this one because this one's lower pop. And there's a huge like Gyarados fan base. Like there's like a cult following for Gyarados.
It's really hard to tell because like Latios, Torchic, and I think the Gyarados are all competing for like the lowest pop count. It ranges between high 10s to low 20s.
Correct. Torchic is the lowest pop, yes. Yeah. And then I believe it's a Latias, and then it's this, and then Latios.
Yes.
We have Flareon Gold Star, Shining Celebi, Suicune Gold Star, Registeel Gold Star. Man, like the roster for their Gold Stars is literally flawless. They have literally everything that you can ask for. Like honestly, did they miss an important Gold Star here? Like, I mean, the only miss that they had, in my opinion, is like the Umbreon and the Espeon. Those should have been hollow. But otherwise, I honestly can't recall them missing an important Pokemon. Like maybe Blastoise or Venusaur, they could have gotten Gold Stars, but otherwise, like they hit everything. Like every single card that I can think of, they gave it a Gold Star. That's literally the only set I would collect. If I was to go back and collect Pokemon, it would be Gold Stars and then Shining Gyarados and Shining Magikarp. All right, so next up is what I would consider like the bread and butter of Jummy's collection, and that is Asian English cards. This guy has like a ridiculous amount, okay? Like it's actually really, really remarkable. You said that this specific pile right here is special to you. Could you tell us why?
A little bit contrary to what you're talking about, this pile is not specific to Asian Edition necessarily, like it composes a lot of it, but these are just cards that I find kind of the middle ground between what I would want to be graded versus in binder. And maybe I can talk about that a little bit. So for binder cards, I think I want to be collecting sets. So I talked earlier about how I'm really passionate about collecting sets. I want them to be in a binder. For graded cards, that is about scarcity. Like if it's like, for example, a Vice Dragon is probably something I would want in a 10 in a PSA. That would be amazing for me. If I can get a, you know, Power Tool Dragon Ghost Rare, even as an 8 or a 9 in Asian English in PSA, that would be amazing for me. But this is like a middle ground where it's not part of a set, but it might not be scarce enough where I feel like it deserves to be in a slab. So these are just cards I love. These
don't deserve slabs. This type of value.
No, I wouldn't say that. That would be disrespectful. They're just parts of sets, so they're not scarce enough to be something like a Vice Dragon or something to be like a, you know, Super Viacroid misprint or, you know, triple stamp Black Rose, for example. Like those are very scarce.
Solo cards, they're kind of like outliers.
They have a very individual identity. Like for example, a set card that that I would want to slab in would be Air Neos, because it's very notorious for it to no longer be able to be part of the TCG.
I'm guessing you think like Rainbow Dragon Misprint as well. Yes. So like those, they've built their identity even outside of the set.
Absolutely. Exactly.
Makes
You got it right
sense.
down. I really like boss monsters and specifically dragon-like cards. So you can notice here I have Dark Arm Dragon, Horus, all these really iconic cards and ultis. And that's actually a honorable mention, I like to say. This is a European Plague Spreader zombie. I just love how dark the blue is and also how the stars really pop out. This stack is probably much in development. I would like to add things like a European Trishula. I think we talked earlier in the Yusuke video about how beautiful that card is. That's something I would love to have in one of these. And yeah, I would like to bring it back to Ting again, because he was the one who introduced me to these one-touch cases, as well as putting the PSA sleeves. I know you complimented on that too, and I thought it was also great.
I love these cases, man. They did such an incredible job. Before we move on, let's just go over a little bit of value. So this stack right here, we're talking like at least like 20 grand here, minimum. And if any of these, like if this 10s, this is 20 grand by itself. Yeah, we're talking like minimum 20 grand, maybe even 30, 40, like it's crazy. I don't want to try and price Pokemon because it fluctuates so much. However, we can price these. What are we looking at in terms of condition for these, would you say?
So the only one in there where I feel like the condition might not be top notch is the Phoenix. The Phoenix might have like a small nick somewhere. It would still, I think, would be LP quality. The rest are the near mint.
Near mint, right? We're talking like 2K here. This is 1K, 1K, like 2K here. Like a lot of value. This is like $5,000-$6,000 right here, minimum. 400 bucks minimum. Is this near mint?
And I think I lied. The Judgment Dragon might be MP. This is the one I copied a while ago, but it's a Euro ulti, so I couldn't resist.
This is still like 100 bucks, $150 easy. And there's like 150 bucks as well. European copy, blue Plague Spreader. Just incredible. All right, next pile. I thought it was gonna be 10s, but this is the only 10 here. We have Princess Pikaru. Is this for when you said that you were like planning to collect 10s for all the Asian English?
Yeah, I think that was back when I was a bit too ambitious on my love for Asian English. So I thought, oh, maybe I'll collect all of them in PSA 10, which would honestly be really remarkable because there's still some PSA 10s out there, and most notably like Charcoal Impachi, for example, does not exist in a 10, even though 30 were graded, which is mind-blowing. For card quality, that's so good, right? So I thought it would be a pretty big accomplishment. But as I thought about it more, like for set cards, I just really want them in binders, and only for the really special ones, I would want them in the touch cases. For the very scarce ones, I want them in slabs. So I think these will be helping me fund my other collection goals. But in the meantime, I do have some left over. And actually, there's a lot of 10s in there. I know you saw a 9 after this, but it's mostly 10s and a couple 9s.
There's a 9 Chainsaw Insect. We have Cyber Phoenix here. We have Mystic Swordsman, level 2. Absolutely love this card. And this card was done so dirty in Soul the Duelist TCG.
One of the top artworks, both like coloring, the actual artwork itself.
I love level cards. I love level cards. This card is crazy. Holy smokes. Look at the holo on this.
It's probably one of the cheapest monster Asian English ultimates, I think, but I think it's so undeserving because the foiling is so good. It just really pops. Like you just see like the sparkles just come out like in all directions, you know?
Super Electromagnetic Voltic Dragon. This is when they started like embossing everything, making everything ulti. Like for example here, you can see that the character is not holofoiled, while on this guy, pretty much every single card in here is holofoiled like this in EOJ. I'm not really a big fan of this type of emboss. I'm more of this.
I'm the exact same way. Like I just want really like strong contrast and gradation, and you don't get that in that card, which is really a shame because I think the concept is really cool, right? You know, there's the battery man archetype, so you can kind of see the battery men in the background of that, and you just can't tell because everything's just kind of flattened. So it's a real shame.
And then here we have one of my favorite cards. I love ritual cards. I love high rarity rituals. And then here we have the Queen of Oblivion, Ruin. Absolutely gorgeous card right here. PSA 10 as well.
I was really like popping off when I was watching your live stream of, you know, opening the Shadow of Infinity because I literally liked ritual cards, and the fact that you could pull it yourself and it's in Euro, I thought was just amazing.
Beautiful, beautiful card right here. Yeah, I love rituals. They're probably my favorite cards. Next, we have another stack. We have more PSA 9s and 10s. We have Arm Changer, beautiful card. Phoenix Windblast. I use this in my GOAT deck. And then we have Token Feast Evil or Festival.
So the one thing you might not know from this card is that it's actually only a pop 2 in Gem Mint. I would say like Charcoal Impachi is like tier S in terms of rarity. Like there are no PSA 10s despite a ton being graded. This one has a similar amount graded, maybe like 20 or something, but there's only 2. There's this one and then there's one other, but that's being owned by someone who's actually collecting all of them in Gem Mint 10s. Really, yeah? So that's not going anywhere. So you can kind of think of it as a PSA 1. I'm not sure I love the artwork necessarily, but it's still cool to have a card that's that rare.
All right, next up we have DD Trap Hole, different dimension trap hole, amazing. I love these arts like this, man. So nice. Damage condenser. The hollow foil on this is just bananas.
I don't love it as much as Thelonian Soldier, but it's also one of those like highly underrated cards that I really like. Just the gradation between the normal hollowing and the foiling is just so good.
Look at the way that the Thunderbolt looks.
Yes.
It's just crazy. Amazing. Then we have Goblin out of the Frying Pan. This one is one of the ones that unfortunately got like pretty much full stamp. And I don't know how I feel about this. It's okay. I would say it's one of my lesser favorites, but the fact that it has the Goblin and then it has the Pot of Greed, that bumps it up a couple of steps. Looks so sick. Look at this.
It's another one where I felt like they really did dirty because, again, it's like a character one, right? You have the goblins, like negotiating a Pot of Greed to this guy. It looks so good, but yeah, the full foiling's really bad. You can actually kind of combine it with the card below because they're complementary cards. Like one negates spells and the other one negates traps. But yeah, I think Goblin has better artwork. Both could have improved foiling for sure.
Next up, we have Elemental Absorber, PSA 10. Again, look at the hollow foil on this. Incredible. Option Hunter, PSA 10. And then Spell Stopping Statute. Gorgeous. All right, next up, we have some AEs that you plan on submitting, you said?
Yes, these are pretty high likely to get graded 10s. I really thought some of them could get BGS black labels. Like, fun fact is that there's not a single BGS black label Asian English Ultimate. I want to be the first. They all have something wrong with them. Like a really small nick or like just some weird off-centering. Like, they have to be perfect, right? So I'm like, I just don't think they have a chance. So I think they'll just end up going to PSA, but I'm still really proud of like how good condition they are.
Makes sense. This Cyber Dragon is absolutely ridiculous. Gorgeous. This is one of my favorite cards right here. VW XYZ Dragon Catapult Cannon. Another really underrated card in my opinion.
This one's truly underrated in the sense of like, I just don't understand because it's a boss monster, it's a fusion. It looks great, but it's super cheap.
Ultimate Insect. Love these level cards, man. This is probably the weakest level card out of like all of them. Would you put Silent Swordsman or Mystic Swordsman first? Or would you put the Armed Dragons?
Out of the levels.
Ooh. Or the Horus?
You'll see it in my binder later, but I actually really like the level 1 version of this card.
Oh, really?
The colors are really nice. So that might be my top. But as a series, I think you're right. I might actually like Silent Swordsman the most.
Silent Swordsman, yeah.
You guys are wild.
What do you like more?
Horus.
Horus?
Yeah, no. In that sense, yeah.
Hammer Shot, love this. Look at the way that these goblins like are not holified. So nice. Power Bond, this card is ridiculous as well. Nitro Unit, beautiful. Guard Penalty, Serial Spell, Chthonian Alliance, and Greed. And notice that these are all censored, by the way. Asian English at this time was censored. The new modern Asian English is not.
I guess one point I want to bring up, like as we're talking about this, Asian English hits on like both cylinders for me, right? Where it's like, these are set cards. They're also like very scarce because they're much more scarce than the Western variants. And also at the same time, like the artwork is beautiful. Like they're actual art pieces. They kind of hit on every dimension in terms of collectability. And I think you could see why I like them so much.
I mean, I definitely agree. I actually am thinking of shifting myself towards Asian English. I think I'm hoping to get rid of some of my NA, like exactly what you have, which is like binder sets of the Asian English cards. Not a lot of people know about this Asian English. If you guys watched my Asian English coverage, you would know that Enemy of Justice was the last set to receive Asian English release. It was pretty much discontinued and put to rest until Crimson Crisis was released on the North American side. They decided to give it a go in Asian English region, and they produced pretty much 2 sets, 1 deck, and they completely discontinued everything after that. And this was one of the sets that they released. It was Crimson Crisis Raging Battle. Raging Battle being considerably more rare than Crimson Crisis. However, this is considerably more rare than anything in the GX era. So like these cards, you're gonna find 1, maybe 2 listings on Japanese sale sites. You're not gonna get a lot here. These cards, I have to say, they don't look as good as the North American. I think the North American actually looks superior to these, and I'm not sure why. I do think that they maybe changed factories or something like that. They definitely do not have the same level of pop that North American cards have, and that's really ironic because North American cards in the GX era were absolute garbage. In terms of like aesthetic, it was like not comparable between Asian English GX and North American GX. On this side, although these look great, I think the North American looks much better. However, However, these are literally 100 to 150 times more rare than the North American copies, and I think that adds to the identity of these cards by itself. So these, unlike the Asian English GX sets where they follow the TCG including censorship, these did not. They followed the Japanese with no censorship. So a lot of the cards here are max rarity. For example, Forbidden Chalice. It is a super rare in this set while it's an alti on the TCG side, but this is significantly more rare as a super rare than the alti. I think that's super fascinating in my opinion. These are the 3 cards that you have, or do you have more?
So I waffled a little bit on my collection. So before I was going for the binder set, then I thought I wanted to go to AE 10s, and then I'm going back to my binder collection. So back when I was going for my binder collection, I actually had all of the Crimson Crisis ones in raw, but I sold them to fund my 10s. But luckily the ones I sold were not the very rare ones. I didn't sell any of the Raging Battles, for example. I just sold these. I didn't have the Ghost. The Ghost I actually just recently picked up thanks to Ting again.
Okay.
But the other 2 I had, and then I also had the Doom Kaiser Assault Mode and also the Armor Master. And both of those are relatively available compared to the other ones. I just want to find really good conditioned ones because, again, these are the ones I want to get slabs in. So these I'm really happy with because thanks to Ting's help, I was able to get ones that are pretty minty. The Red Dragon is probably the best condition out of all of these. Then the Arcanite.
Really, eh?
The Red Dragon and the Arcanite have a really solid chance of getting a 9. The Blaster also has a chance at a 9, might be an 8, but I would be ecstatic for any of these to be a 9. And if 10 comes up, I might actually cry because none of these have been, sorry, that's not true. The Ghost has never been graded with PSA. I think the other 2 may have been, but I don't think there is a 10 out there.
I think the Arcanite, there's a 9 of it in Singapore.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, I've seen
Really?
that before, yeah.
I mean, that's how you know it's rare, right? Like when you basically are saying, I think there is a 9 out there.
Yes.
That's how you know it's rare, okay? What does something like this go for in this condition?
I think I think it really just depends on the person, like this buyer and the seller. Like I know everybody can say that because it's all supply and demand, but it's just so rare and it barely pops up that I've seen like a horrible condition one sell for maybe $3,000 US. I've also seen, good copies sell for, high 1,000, low 2,000. It's all dependent on what's available at the time, who wants to buy, who wants to sell it.
If I was to approximate, I would imagine that this is like 2,000 minimum.
For that condition,
Yeah, I would say 2,000 minimum. And then these guys, I don't have any like sales data, but I can tell you like if the TCG is like 80, $100, like these would probably be like $500 minimum. $500. Amazing, incredible value. Next up, we have some PSA 9s, and this is Ancient Fairy Dragon. Why do you have this one if you're collecting Ancient English? Is this before or?
So out of the cards I actually want slabbed, a couple of them actually are your influence. So I want Stardust Dragon, Black Rose Dragon, Ancient Fairy, and Majestic Star. And I think you already know why.
Tins.
It's because they're only in tins. I think it's really cool that they have this identity of only being in booster packs. Like those are the only 4 packs that are only available in tins. I know Ancient Prophecy and I know Stars, like I guess technically they might all have booster boxes, but they're so extinct and rare that I basically don't count them. And
especially if they're North American, right? North American, they don't have booster boxes.
Yes, so I don't think I want to collect all ghost rares, but those 4 in a 10 would mean a lot to me. So this is when I kind of shot the moon and sent them out. The fairy is very fair as a 9. I think like there was a small nick on the top left that would definitely never make it.
Every single one of them is like this. Every
Yes.
single one is like this.
But the Majestic Star I think has a pretty good chance. I actually don't really know why I got the 9. Maybe
probably
I
just
could get
centering.
strictly checked later, but it's mostly centering is my.
This has horrible centering issues. I pulled 2 of them and both of them like way out of whack.
So you think there's no chance at a regrade for a 10?
I don't know. This one, I personally would not because I think it's just a little too off center top to bottom. Bro, I've seen worse get 10, so very, very beautiful cards though. And this is when they perfected the ghost rare. Like even if you compare this to Stardust, these look significantly better. They really perfected the ghost rare in these 2, especially like Crimson Crisis, Blackwing Dragon. If you look at the ghost on that, very, very nice.
Yes, Black Rose and Stars are more iconic in terms of playability, but these just look amazing.
Especially this one. And this one's especially like a sign of dragon, right? So I think these are really nice. When I talked to Vintage Card Japan, he said that this is one of the few cards that he wants personally for his collection. Just the Ancient Fairy PSA 10. All right, these guys, I know there's like a cult following for Earthbound Immortals. I personally have never watched 5Ds, so I can't really relate, but I can definitely understand because this has very much set identity embedded into them. The fact that they're all ulti, they all look the same because they all came out in that same time period. That makes me want to like just collect them just to say I have all the Immortals, right? These, however, are Asian English. Like how rare are these, would you say?
So these I know for sure are pop 1s, not as a PSA 10, not as a PSA 9, pop 1 and PSA period.
Like these are literally the only ones graded. Yes. That's unbelievable.
So,
Raging Battle.
As you mentioned earlier, Raging Battle is the most scarce Asian English set ever.
Yep.
It makes sense to me that there's only one that exists, and I'm just super happy to have them as 9s because card stock on these are really bad. So
yes.
We talked earlier about how the GX ones have really good card stock in general, but that's actually not the case for these. Like they have a lot of scratches on the foiling.
And they're glossy on the back.
And they're glossy, yes. So for that reason, like they're very hard to grade. So like these are the few cards where like I'm popping off if I get a 9, you know. Like even an 8 I'm pretty happy about. And then if I get a 10, then you know it's like, you know, I'm crying.
Incredible cards. Just incredible. Amazing. That was his slabs, raw cards that he's sending to be slabbed. Now I want to show you guys his binder collection because these are impressive to say the least. Okay, we're gonna start off with his blue Card Guardian binder.
These are from your influence, by the way. And now you have your own product, and maybe I'll be lucky to get those one day.
I mean, this is like the binder set that you wanted to build, correct? This is every single ulti here. Not every single ulti, but like accumulated so far, correct?
Yes, so these are, I have about 50 right now. You know, there's 200 total for GX, so I'm about a fourth there. These are all like, I don't even want to say near mint, like these are actually mint.
Mint,
and,
really?
Yeah, my good friend Ting pointed out some of these might actually be gem mint quality, and it feels like a bit of a waste to have gem mint quality cards in a binder, so maybe I'll get a Ting check later to see if I can grade some of these and fund more of my collection.
Now they're all 8 on 9.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing. Look at this.
I really like the BES cards, by the way. Like, for example, there is like the circle for the sun or whatever planet there is, and I just love that.
Look at this Cybernetic Magician. Look at this. Holy smokes.
No, they're underrated cards.
Yeah.
So good.
You know, I picked up mine for like $15. Some guy had it on thing. He just put it as regular, and it was AE.
Oh, that's amazing.
Rampart is one of those where it's like completely robbed in the TCG.
Yeah, the heroes are somehow really cheap in Asian English. I'm not really sure why.
It's like $300, right?
Yeah. Which, I mean, I don't know, like an A or EU copy would go for that, so I don't really get it. Infernal Fireblast is also a very hard card to grade. Soul the Duelist is notorious for having bad centering, so I think there might be 1 or 0 PSA 10s.
This is incredible. This is like actually exactly what I want to do now. Now that I've come to Japan, seen Asian English cards, like in North America, like they're just so inaccessible. I'm not trying to get like one card every year. So now that I've come here, I saw like, you know, Fuku had, the goal is a little bit more attainable. I'm definitely more salivating at the of being able to collect these now. So very, very happy to see this. I'm very happy to see like there's a lot of support for them in Japan. Really incredible, honestly. Amazing.
Definitely.
Next up, this is very interesting and something not a lot of people know about. In Italy, there was a release for Power of the Duelist where every single ultimate rare had no name, no imprint. And what I mean by this is if you take a look at this right here, you'll see that there's no gold stamp here, right? Ultimate rares usually have a gold stamp at the top for the name. However, you can replicate that after the fact using acetone. You can acetone literally the gold part away, and what you'd be left with is an imprint of the stamp with no color. That pretty much completely devalues the card. This, however, has no imprint and no stamp. So what this means is from the factory, it literally was not stamped. And the fact that it has rounded corners here means that this is not an uncut sheet where somebody's just cut it up. Every single one of these had to be pulled. And that, in my opinion, is absolutely incredible. You said you had the complete set here. Unbelievable. 25 ultimate rares.
And I'm really happy that you mentioned the fact that's not factory cut. A lot of the time when you have these crazy misprints, especially in a set like this, right? You just assume it's from an uncut sheet and someone just took the scissors out and just, you know, kind of did their thing. But because of the rounded corners, you know for sure that that's not the case. And another thing to mention is that, you know, I think a lot of us maybe get bothered by not having like non-English cards. Some really hardcore misprint collectors consider maybe non-English misprints as not real misprints, but because in this case, these are all no names, really unnoticeable that they're not English. You just can go straight into the artwork. And on top of that, you get the perks of the EU print with the stars being really pretty and the artwork popping more. So I think you get the best of all worlds in these.
These are extremely rare as well. Like they're very Very, very rare.
I think before the Yu-Gi-Oh boom, I've seen a couple people have them, and I'm sure some of the serious misprint collectors probably still have these, but I'm very fortunate that I got them at the timing I did because I have no confidence in being able to get this. Like I've seen maybe on eBay 1 or 2, 3 cards.
I've literally never seen a complete set. I literally have never seen it.
I'm very
Yeah.
proud of this.
Yeah, very, very nice.
Another added bonus is that this is the set right after Enemy of Justice. Line these up right next to Enemy of Justice, Asian
Correct.
Ultimates.
And doesn't exist in Asian English as well, right? So.
Exactly. So they have an identity.
Amazing. One other cool misprint that's worth noting on these is the fact that they have no Eye of Anubis. So these were literally like, I'm not sure how they were even released. Like the problem is that they're cut, but they're missing stuff on the card.
Yes.
And usually the cutting happens after everything. So that's what's so weird. Very, very interesting for sure. Amazing set. Thank you for sharing this, honestly. Wow.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Now we're gonna get to the really exciting stuff for me. All right, you guys have been interested in the cards, but you guys know I'm strictly sealed. Now I want to show you guys the goods. We're gonna start off with some stuff that is more common, but definitely heat. This is Starter Deck Kaiba, first edition, not punched. The condition on this is pretty remarkable, to be honest. Like it's really, really good. I mean, I see it like a small thing there, but overall, like this is really nice. The stickers here are no Eye of Anubis, and that's a trademark for first edition, as well as some super early unlimited prints of this deck.
I got very lucky with that. They were selling at a Japanese card shop for much, much below the market price. And I was like, this is so iconic, I have to get it.
What's more iconic though is this. We have first edition LOB booster box. And this right here, this is perfect condition. Wow.
I definitely didn't buy it during peak. I probably bought it as it was going on its downturn. So I think some people can probably get this for cheaper right now, but it still means a lot to me because I was able to finance this purely from selling a lot of the cards I bought during what I call my dumpster diving era, right? Going on Facebook Marketplace. So I'm really proud of getting this. I think it's a staple in my collection.
This goes for like 15,000 right now, right? I would say around there. It's pretty insane that the first box in Yu-Gi-Oh goes for only 15.
That's why I bought it for more, and it still felt like a great deal, you know?
Yeah,
so
it's so
I don't regret it.
The disrespect for sealed in Yu-Gi-Oh is blasphemy, I swear. All right, next we have Pokemon, and this is Crystal Guardians. This box has Alakazam, I think. And Celebi, yeah. This box is not in the best of shape, but with EX boxes, I mean, you beggars can be choosers, bro. The artwork on this is incredible. It has Charizard right on the front. I like that the wrapper here has Pokemon stamps on it.
Yes.
It's not like, you know, base set where it's easily replicatable.
Like I really like Gold Stars, Crystal Shining, so I would like to get a lot of the boxes that contain those cards. This box, I think it's still undervalued, even though it increased in price ever since I bought it. I think it's really undervalued just because it has, you know, a Charizard diving on the cover, right? Like
Absolutely,
how iconic could it be? And it's in different typing. I think it's a super slept on box.
My dream box is EX Team Rocket.
Oh yeah, that's a great one to have.
Now we have Shadow of Infinity first edition box. The thing about these is not only is like just the empty box dumb rare, but the packs on the inside are extremely rare as well. If you guys watched my Tokyo vlogs, you guys saw I picked up a lot of packs of CRV Asian English, and that was because when I talked to Fuku, the owners, they said like the guy brought in 4 boxes and they ended up basically selling like a bunch of packs from it. I was really disappointed because I would have loved to own like the 4 boxes, even if they're open, I don't even care. Just the fact that you can own these types of packs is incredible. Look at the print quality on these packs. Like if you compare it to like the TCG, man, the TCG is an abomination, bro. He has 14 packs in this Shadow of Infinity box, and he has CRV Asian English box as well. And this one has, you said 17, I believe? Yes. 17 packs. So maybe we can work out a deal and he can grab some packs from me.
These are both boxes that I know exist in sealed. Actually, the Shadow of Infinity was right in front of me, in front of Fuku actually, but it was so expensive. And there was another box that was a little bit more affordable, so I thought, okay, maybe I'll come back for this one, and then it was gone the next month. So I think I'm very lucky where I don't have that many regrets in the hobby, but I would say maybe the biggest one, which would be the fact that I didn't buy the sealed version of this, but I'm still very happy to have a box that's open with packs inside.
Shout out to Dandy for the SOI.
The fact that we know where all the boxes, like who the owners of these boxes are, is kind of remarkable, right? Like it shows you just how rare these boxes are. I can't even imagine like more than 20 people. I know myself, Dandy, you, the guy in the US, right? That's the guy you're talking about? Yeah. Okay, that's 4. Like, okay, let's just say we multiply it by 5. That's 25 people. We multiply it by 10. That's 50 people that are collecting these boxes, and there's still not enough supply. That's pretty insane, in my opinion. I think that's pretty cool.
But to be honest, I think all it takes is just one breakthrough for these to be collected more, because I mean, these are so much more rare than the Western counterparts, and like the price isn't that different. Supply is drastically lower. So
it's much lower,
I'm rooting for Strictly Sealed to you know, get the PR out there, and maybe we can get you know, not only more people collecting these, but also just more awareness about it. I think that would be really, really cool.
Maybe after I get some more boxes in there.
Okay.
Might be a role for you.
Amazing, amazing. Okay, so that was strictly unsealed but sealed. This is now strictly sealed. We're gonna start off with the earliest box in his collection, and that is Rise of Destiny. This is the second set to release in GX Asian English. This one was recently purchased, right? I believe I was actually competing with him for this box, as well as Dandy, but Dandy heard about it later. The seller basically put us in a bidding war, and he ended up winning. So I mean, I'm glad it went to a good collection. I'm glad that it didn't go to like somebody that's gonna try and resell it. I know this is gonna be like buried with him, so very, very nice pickup for sure. You got a pretty amazing deal on this, in my opinion.
Yeah, I got a pretty good deal. I mean, yes, it's probably, I would argue, probably the most like least desirable AE box, right? Like out of the GX ones. It makes sense that I got it for relatively cheap, but again, just with the supply, like I have not seen this sealed ever. From that reason alone, like I was happy to pay what I paid.
In terms of condition, is this the worst one?
Maybe the second worst. I have one that has a bit of a tear on it. I think this is a very good second to lowest quality.
There's a little bit of sun burning here, and then, but otherwise, I think like, I know what you paid for this. I'll be pretty happy with this. Like you paid filler price, and, and you got.
I think I would actually pay more money buying individual packs than how much I paid for the box.
Yeah, like no brainer. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful box. Moving on, we skip Flaming Eternity and we go on to the Lost Millennium. Now this is a box that I showed you guys on the channel because I own this myself. This is, you said, I imagine this is the worst one.
Yes.
This one has like pretty big damage. What would you value something like this at?
It's hard to know. I mean, I've heard of the offers that you've gotten, so I guess I'm definitely biased, but maybe in the modern times going for less than 5K.
Yeah, I would imagine 5K. That's what I would put it at as well. Pretty beautiful box, man.
I'm just surprised how many of these are. This is probably the most abundant of the AE boxes. Like I know at least of like 3 others, and it's surprising to me because this is probably one of the best sets in AE in my opinion. You have Doriado, you have Flame Wingman, you have Wing Karibo. Like these are also iconic good cards that are, you know, retail rares, right? So they're not available in Japan.
Absolutely.
And yet it's still really available. So yeah, I don't understand why, but I'm very happy because that lets me get one.
We're skipping Cybernetic Revolution and we're going to Elemental Energy. This box looks clean. Wow.
This is probably the grail of my collection. Everything about it is great. Like it's a very scarce box. I've never seen it sealed. The condition is really good. I think it's probably the best condition box I have. And there's a really funny story about this of how I acquired it. I was just, you know, scrolling through social media and I saw a post of, I think it's called B. They have a branch in Osaka, and I saw that they had it up for sale. And I was like, no way. Like I did a triple take, you know, because I've just never seen it sealed. Even the booster packs are so hard to come by, like just separately. So I was like, oh my goodness. And I was like, you know, on my way to go to Akihabara. This is 3 hours by train. Man, it's so far away. Luckily it's a weekend, so I don't have work. And I'm thinking, do I just go for it? So I text my friend Ting and I say, I think I'm crazy, but I think I'm gonna go on the next bullet train to Osaka. And he's like, you're crazy, but I support you. I had a really busy work period that time, so I had to work on the weekend. So I got on the bullet train, whipped out my laptop, did some work, and got there. I called them beforehand to confirm the price, and it was a pretty good price. And I also was like, you know, can you hold it for me? I'll be there in literally 3 hours. I'm coming from across the country. Sorry, by policy, we're not able to do that. So I'm just praying, it's still there. And I get there, and the sigh of relief I've ever heaved when I saw it there in the display case. And in Japan, you're just supposed to like be very respectful of people like getting out of their space and stuff. And I just bust straight through the register. I said, please show me this thing in the showcase. Didn't want the one person in front of me to, you know, somehow be the person looking for it. So I just went straight there, grabbed the box, amazing condition. And I was like, yeah, I have to buy this.
This is definitely a grail for sure. Incredible.
I was really happy about it.
And then we skip Shadow of Infinity and move on to Enemy of Justice. This is nice. I mean, the condition on this, I mean, there's a little ding here, but condition is fantastic on this. Wow.
Very happy with that. And I think you noticed that there's a trend where I'm skipping boxes every other one, which I think is kind of cool. It completely happened by accident. I'm happy to basically own half of the GX boxes sealed,
Yes,
and another quarter opened. Definitely my dream to have all of them sealed one day. I remember I missed the Flaming Eternity sealed by a day, I think. Like it was on Mercari and I missed it by a day, and it was really cheap. It was like 1600 USD or something.
Yes.
And you know, during boom, you couldn't buy a hobby version of that in NA for that price, or it was around that price.
I'm pretty sure that's where I got my TLM, because it was the same seller. He has both of them. At the time, I didn't know about Mercari or anything like that. So like the guy, I had to buy it off of eBay. I'm pretty sure it was around like 400,000 yen. But then the guy like basically sold it to me for like $4,500. At the time, I didn't know, but it's like still,
You still got it.
because Vintage Car Japan, like when I was doing a trade with him, he wanted the box. I told him that's like one of the ones I'm not moving. It's this, my starter box theatrical, my Emperor. You want anything else, I'll give you, but I'm not giving you these. It's definitely one of my grails for sure. I'm super happy. And mine was like crispy, bro. Like it was perfect. Yeah, I think the Flaming Eternity would have been a really nice pickup as well, but I'm gonna be racing you for it though, so be prepared. All right, so that is his absolutely ridiculous sealed collection. Let's just get the other two boxes up here. Just seeing this is like unheard of, okay? So we have LOB here. That's fine. This is good here. Like, look at this. This is just ridiculous. I don't think anybody can take a photo like this in the world right now.
This should go here and this should go here.
It is what it is, bro. Just absolutely incredible. Amazing. Amazing collection, man.
Thank you. I don't have, as much of social media or general presence as you, so, I don't get the opportunity to get the word out in terms of information, or even just to, display my collection like this. So yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity. And yeah, I hope we get to work together or support each other in our collections moving forward.
Absolutely, man. Like this absolutely like earned my respect. Like this is super, super impressive. I've seen a lot in my collecting time, and this is something I've never seen. Some of these boxes individually I have never seen. So truly, truly impressive. And I mean, my hat's off to you, man. I mean, good luck finding the rest. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart, because I think you definitely deserve it. Honestly.
Well, I know you're still, you're very strictly sealed. So I'm also rooting for you to get these. And if there's ever spares.
Yeah, if you ever find extras, just let me know. Leave some for the rest of us. All right, guys. That is Jummy, aka Jum High's collection. I'm going to throw up his Instagram here. You guys can check him out, drop him a follow, say hi, all that good stuff. If you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe, do all that good stuff. And if you want to support me further, I have a Patreon. You can pick up your own strictly sealed product at strictlysealed.com. Shout out to everybody else that's been supporting, and shout out to Jummy, shout out to Ting, shout out to Yusuke for showing off their collections today and the past videos that you guys watched. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope you learned something. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.
Round of applause for all of us.
That was like 5